So, hey, Jeremy, what are some of the key things that you like about Fluid Drive?
Well, Fluid Drive and Dan in particular, I really love the detail, the attention to detail that they possess. I love what the product does to the car and what the car looks like when they're done. There's never a spot that's untouched. You never get in your car and realize, oh, they missed this spot. So it's very comforting knowing that once the job's done, it's going to be done right, and not just done right, but done to perfection.
So, hey, Jeremy, have you ever used any other mobile detailing businesses?
Well, I've been with Dan for probably now pushing 15 years, and I go through a lot of different exotic cars. But prior to Dan, I did use other mobile detailing companies, and they were all right. They were okay, but I never got in the car and was completely satisfied. I mean, it looked okay, but if you looked in the little cracks, you still saw dust. If you looked in between the seats, you'd see a little something here, a little something there. And with Dan, there's never anything. And Fluid Drive, you always get perfection. And you come to, after 15 years, that's what you come to expect. And if you step outside of the norm and Dan and Fluid Drive, it never adds up.
Say, hey, Jeremy, so have you used other detailers, and what is the difference between Fluid Drive and other detailers that you've used in the past?
Well, in the past, the other detailers I get just aren't as attentive to detail as Dan and Fluid Drive are. For example, if I looked in between my seats, I would always see a little something from the old detailers, and Dan, it's immaculate. Every crack, every crevice is paid attention to. The rims, I mean, if you look at my rims, they're extremely detailed, and it's hard to do, and it takes some time, but Dan always puts that extra time into the rims. He never takes the easy road. He does what's best for the car.
So, hey, Jer, now I heard that Dan and Fluid Drive, they do a waterless program, and I've heard a lot of people are really afraid of using waterless. What would you say to those people that are out there that might be afraid of that?
Well, I've progressed through all the different types of detailing, with bucket wash, water, to this waterless, and it's the best I've ever seen the car. I am in 100% confidence with Dan and his waterless bucket. The car is scratchless. It's beautiful. I mean, look at the cars. It's the film, is beautiful. There's no scraping. It's just butter. I would recommend it to anyone.
Hey, Jeremy, what would you tell people out there, and why to use Fluid Drive services?
Well, I've been using Fluid Drive, and Dan in particular, on my cars for the last 15 years, and he's been detailing probably over $1 million worth of my cars over the years, and I wouldn't have any other detailer touch my cars at this point. Dan's attention to detail, his caring, and it's not a job to him, it's a passion to him, and that's who I want detailing my car. I don't want to be a number. I want each of my cars to be a project to Dan, and Dan makes everything a project, a labor of love, and that's the difference in the detail and the caringness for the cars. So if you use anyone else, you're missing, especially if you have a car you really care about and it's worth some money and you want to keep its value, then it would be in your best interest to use Fluid Drive, and Dan in particular.
Hey, Jeremy, we just want you to kind of go over and show some of the key points of your car and why you really like Fluid Drive and why you've used them for such a long time.
You got it. Well, I mean, as you can see, 2016 Range Rover Sport with big 24-inch 4G Auto rims, which are extremely hard to clean. You need to be very detail-oriented. There's all these little nooks and crannies that you want to get in. Everything touched, clean, polished, and gorgeous. That's one of my pet peeves. I like to see my rims in perfect shape. The lines of the car are completely clean. There's no little nicks or scratches that can't be handled. Now, this is where I am completely anal, is the interior of the car. Dan, I mean, if you take a look around, you'll see every crack, every little place is completely detailed. There's not a spot in between the seats or anything that you could think was not babied. And that's what it's all about when you get into these higher end cars. If you want to put the time in, Dan puts the time in. He's been here for 5 hours now, and the car looks like it just was driven off the lot first time I got it. So this is the company you want to do your cars. I've invested a lot of time into my cars and a lot of money into my cars, and I would have no one else detail it other than Fluid Dry. It's plain and simple. It's as easy as that.